It's been 15 days since the sad and shocking event at the Brentwood home of Rob Reiner and his wife Michele, where they lost their lives in a scary way that surprised everyone in Hollywood. New facts are coming out now, and each one makes the story feel even sadder. An early report from experts says the time when Nick Reiner might have attacked, talking about many bad injuries, including one big cut across Rob's neck that detectives think had a scary meaning. Be quiet. Don't say anything else. Every new clue seems to show more layers of hurt and mess. Police think the sad event might have started with a big fight at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party, where people saw Nick behaving strange and upset. What began as a disagreement turned into something awful. After that, Nick supposedly left calmly, went to a hotel close by, and later used money from the family inheritance to hire Alan Jackson, one of the top defense lawyers in the country, for his case. It's a choice that has left everyone shocked, wondering how someone could stay so cool. Detectives are now putting together what happened that night, starting with the stressful dinner that seems to have started it all. According to the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, the attack happened sometime between midnight and early morning, making it one of the saddest nights in a long time. Between about midnight and 6:00 a.m., detectives think Nick quietly left his room and went into the main house where his parents were sleeping in their bedroom. There were no signs that someone broke in. He already had keys and knew the whole house very well. What happened next is the scariest part of this story. After the bad act, he doesn't look crazy. He doesn't look out of control. He looks pretty normal. He's walking by a gas station wearing a hat. He hasn't hurt anyone yet. Supposedly. Nick supposedly left the house right away with either a lot of fear or a strange calm that only he knows about. Around 4:00 a.m., camera records show Nick getting to the Pierside Hotel in Santa Monica, just a 20-minute drive from Brentwood. He got a simple room, paying quietly with cash or card, and staff hardly noticed him. In those hours, no one saw him talk on the phone or even sleep, like he was in a fog, far from the mess he left. Later that day, around 3:40 p.m., the awful find happened. A massage therapist came for a visit with Rob and Michele, but no one answered the door. She got worried and called Romy, who hurried over with her boyfriend. When they opened the door, everything fell apart. Rob was found without life in the bedroom, and panic started as they called 911 right away. Police came soon and found Michele close by, making everyone's fears real. While detectives worked on the sad scene, Nick was still moving around, buying a drink at a gas station just before he got caught. This is video from ABC News. Here he is again. He has a bag on his left shoulder, it looks like, and he's walking around a store slowly and again doesn't look crazy or upset in any way. This is after, again, the killing. By around 9:00 p.m., a camera at an Arco gas station near Exposition Park showed him buying a sports drink, looking worried and looking around, but strangely calm enough to pay normally. Just minutes later, at about 9:15 p.m., lapped officers with help from U.S. Marshals came around him and caught him nearby. He didn't fight back and stayed quiet as they took him. The video showed a young man with an empty, tired look, like he had no feelings left. Expert teams later figured that Rob and Michele had probably passed away 3 to 4 hours before they were found, based on early signs seen by helpers. It was a timeline that made the sadness worse and left detectives looking for reasons about what really made Nick reach that point. Detectives thought Nick might have tried to clean up before leaving or even showered at the hotel later. Still, clues could have stayed on his clothes or skin, and cameras caught his moves in Santa Monica that morning. Experts think the weapon was probably something from inside the house. A normal kitchen knife or even a meat cutter, something easy to grab. Because Nick knew the house layout so well, police say he could move with scary accuracy, turning a once happy home into a place of mess and sadness. One more video to show you. This is him giving up on a street in LA as police get close to him. It's a bit hard to see, but you can make out some. Wait, where did we get this? Oh, from the New York Post. Okay, police have said since that he gave up without fighting. He didn't resist getting caught. Reports talk about a surprising number of injuries in the bedroom, showing how much violence happened. Expert investigators later said both Rob and Michele had many serious hurts, going against early stories that said only one hit. The real facts showed a much worse picture. Professor Joseph Scott Morgan, a top expert on dead body, from Jacksonville State University, said that stabbing many times usually means clear and on-purpose plan plus a lot of strong effort. These acts happen very close up, needing the attacker to get right in the person's space and use a lot of power. The many hurts in this story made experts call the attack long and very much meant. Morgan also explained the details. Stab hurts go deep and straight, while cut hurts are long but not as deep. When both are there, it means a long fight full of anger and careful moves instead of a quick lose of control. This wasn't a short moment of not thinking. It was a planned set of actions showing strength and purpose. From an expert view, they said that neck hurts like this are not as fast or easy as movies show. In real life, it takes control, strong body, and close touch, making the whole thing extra scary. The way this sad event happened shows how planned and careful the attack had to be, leaving a path of heartbreak that still hurts everyone. These new facts add more sadness to the last moments of Rob and Michele Reiner, sending big shocks through their family and everyone. Wait a second, you can see the police. You can't really see the person charged yet. He's behind the car, but you can see the police aren't acting scared like when someone fights or pulls out a gun or knife. They look pretty calm. They had way more people than the one guy, but he was taken in without trouble. What makes it harder to understand are early stories saying the couple might have been in bed when the attack started. If that's true, it would mean the person who did it knew the home very well. From the bedroom setup to the couple's night habits and how easy they woke up, experts say an attack so close, maybe even while sleeping, means a full break into private space. The thought that the attacker might have gotten on the bed to do it is scary enough to give anyone chills. Expert people called the scene too much to handle. The neck hurts caused a lot of bleeding, and with extra stab hurts, the blood loss was huge. Every clue pointed to one scary fact. The attacker knew the home closely and could get in without anyone thinking something bad, leading police right to Nick Reiner, the third person living in that house. Even more upsetting is what happened next. The person accused of ending his parents' lives supposedly used some of their own inheritance money to pay for his lawyer. A fact that shocked everyone and brought up questions about right and wrong all over the country. People right away started asking how much this defense could cost. Because Nick didn't have a regular job and his past work was mostly small movie things with his dad long ago, where the money came from got more attention. Alan Jackson, the lawyer for him, is not just any lawyer. He's one of the most wanted defense lawyers in the country. Known for only hard and famous cases, his name alone costs a lot. Stories say even when Jackson gave lower prices before, total lawyer costs still got to about $10 million. For many watching this story, that number shows the huge advantage and weird opposite at the center of this sadness. A son accused of awful violence now protecting himself with money made by the same people he's accused of hurting. In Nick's story, the costs are expected to go way up because of how serious the charges are and all the news attention on every new thing. Even with a lower price, the money needed would still be way more than most people could pay. When news people asked Alan Jackson outside the court building, he kept it short, saying only that he couldn't talk about who paid the money. That quiet started a lot of guesses. Rumors went around fast. Some said Jackson might be doing the case for free because it's so public, while others talked about secret plans. But then on December 18, 2025, many people close to the Reiner family shared a surprising fact. The lawyer money is supposedly paid by the estate of Rob and Michele Reiner, worth about $200 million. According to these people, the choice came from family members who are still alive like Jake and Romy Reiner. Even with their deep hurt, they chose to pay for Nick's defense hoping for a case about mental problems and not full blame. They supposedly think that if Nick goes to a safe mental place instead of life in jail, it would be kinder, maybe what Rob and Michele would have wanted for their son. Under California rules, someone found guilty of taking a life can't get money from the person's estate. But the rules don't stop other family or managers from using some estate money to pay lawyer costs before a final decision. Lawyer expert Sean Weisbart said this is allowed while things are still going on, but it's still argued about. Others say the estate manager could say no to payments to avoid problems or fights later. Right now, neither the family nor the court has said for sure where the money comes from, leaving fans and people with lots of questions about family love, fair rules, and right choices. Then came the next part, Nick Reiner's first time in court. Facing 2 charges of first-degree killing and extra bad things because of more than one person hurt, Nick was brought to the Los Angeles County Court in the usual blue prisoner clothes. a sign of both protection and bad end. For him, as expected, was Alan Jackson, a strong lawyer known for protecting some of the biggest name clients in the country. The meeting happened with strict rules. No live cameras allowed, adding to the mystery and interest from people about the case. Lawyer Jackson asked to wait on the official charge reading so Nick could choose how to answer. The judge said yes, moving the next meeting to January 7th. For now, Nick stays in jail at the Los Angeles County Jail, waiting for the next part in a case that has everyone's attention in the country. The only time people heard his voice was when he quietly answered the judge about knowing his rights. A sad reminder of how low this once lucky life had gone. Mr. Reiner, do you give up your right to a fast trial so the charge reading can happen on January 7th, 2026? The judge asked. Nick's answer was short and almost no feeling. Yes, Your Honor, I do. That was all. No more words, no clear failing, just a quiet yes that was another step in this scary case. The meeting ended fast, leaving the room quiet and tense. Now everyone looks to January 7th, the day that could change things. The next meeting has become the big focus for news people and the Reiner family, all wanting answers badly. The cold, like machine tone of the court time reminded everyone of one hard fact. This case is not close to done and fair rules are just starting. Before getting into what will be a big trial, detectives looked again at one of the saddest parts of the story, Nick Reiner's long fight with drugs. Behind all the luck and fame were years of hard personal problems that led to the sadness now happening. Born in 1993, Nick's fall into bad drugs started very young, around age 15 in 2008. That's when he supposedly first tried strong drugs like heroin and cocaine, things that made his young life fall apart in a way hard to fix. Being the son of famous director Rob Reiner and grandson of Hollywood star Carl Reiner, Nick grew up with fame, pressure, and high hopes, a world that often felt strange and hard for him. His family saw the problems early. Rob and Michele, wanting to help badly, sent him to his first help program as a teen. But that was just the start of a long, sad up and down of help and falling back. 17 or 18 help places in just a few years, according to stories later. Each time, Nick would seem better only to go back to bad ways soon. It turned into a repeat of hope in sad times. Rob and Michele never stopped trying. They gave everything to help their son get better, giving love, job chances, and even letting him live back in their Brentwood home to start again. Rob supposedly spent lots of time trying to help Nick with fun projects, hoping plan and goal could help heal. But fighting drugs can be very hard and Nick's getting better stayed shaky. The house meant to keep and fix him would later be the place of awful sadness. Rob once said being a parent means never stopping on your child no matter how low they go. But in the Reiner's story, that love ended in sadness when the son they helped for years became the one accused of taking their lives. When Rob and Michele finally tried a harder way, what friends called tough love, Nick chose to leave and live his own way. He moved from place to place, Maine, New Jersey, Texas, living a hard and not steady life that he later called his bad years. He almost died many times in that time, living only by luck and strength. Without home and far from family, Nick used drugs and bad street friends to get through, falling deeper as his family watched without power from far. Then came a small hope. In 2015, at just 22 years old, Nick stayed clean long enough to work with his dad on the movie Being Charlie, a part-true story from his own drug fights. For a bit, it seemed like fixing was possible. Father and son got close again, working together and fixing some broken trust. But by 2018, things turned bad again. Nick went back to drugs, this time worse, falling into heroin and almost dying from a cocaine problem on a plane. Not long after, he broke a lot in his parents' guest house, breaking TVs, lights, and furniture in anger and mix-up. That was the end point. Rob and Michele had to send him back to help, hoping it would save him finally. By 2020, they let him move back into the main Brentwood house, trying again to keep him near, watched, and safe. But their hope was going away fast. Nick's actions supposedly got more strange, and friends say the couple was very worried about his mind and drug problems in the months before the sadness. Nick's story is a sad reminder that even the best love and never-ending help can't always stop someone from hurting themselves. The case has left many asking, could drugs be part of his defense? Alan Jackson, Nick's famous lawyer, is known for careful plans in cases about mind state and purpose. Some people close think his defense might say Nick's long drug use hurt his control that night. People at the Santa Monica hotel said he seemed very high after the event, a fact police have checked. But rules-wise, that's not enough for not guilty by crazy. In most cases, choosing to use drugs doesn't excuse blame. It can only a little change if the person had clear plan, a big part in first-degree charges. But if the defense shows Nick's mind was mixed up bad instead of planned, it might make the charge less bad. Still, people charging say if someone gets a weapon and attacks after a fight, that shows clear plan and knowing. So while drug use might tell about his feelings, it's not likely to free him fully. The coming trial will see how much this reason goes and if the line between drugs and blame can be clear. Nick's lawyer team has big hard parts in the Reiner family case. Rob and Michelle's lives were taken with a knife, but detectives still don't know if Nick brought the weapon or took one from the house that night. What is clear is earlier fights and disagreements mean maybe some plan, something chargers won't miss. Even if drug use is said as less blame, it has very little rule power in California. If found guilty of first-degree killing with extra bad, Nick could stay in jail all life without out chance. Without any real less blame things, the usual time could still be 25 years to life. Police found no proof of protecting himself or accident. This seems like what experts call a crime from feeling, anger, or strong emotion. Making the case worse is that the hurt people were famous Hollywood people. The list of possible talkers supposedly has names like Conan O'Brien, Larry David, and Billy Crystal. People whose words could make this trial a big show no one forgets. Some experts already think this could be one of the most watched rule fights in America. Since the O.J. Simpson or Menendez brothers trials, the trial is thought to start late 2026 or early 2027, and people close think a quick deal is not likely. Charger Nathan Hochman is thought to use a lot of real proof plus the big story of what led to the sadness as he tries to show plan and purpose for sure. Every part of Nick's past, his drugs, mind state, and actions that night will be looked at closely in court, picture by picture. New expert reports have also put Nick right at the place, helped by DNA clues, blood proof, and camera videos. These finds make it almost impossible for defense to say protect himself, especially since Rob and Michele were older while Nick was just 32. This difference makes the defense's job harder to explain. In some not common cases, lawyers ask for less charges like not planned killing, meaning no purpose to take life. But in this story, the mix of the fight, the got weapon, and the bad attack makes that reason weak. Stories have even said Rob and Michele had bad neck hurts, a sign of planned close purpose. If true, that fact could make the Chargers' case much stronger. Alan Jackson, leading the defense now, has huge push to make any story that might lower Nick's blame. The exact place of the bodies, home camera records, and expert map of the place could all be big in what next. And then, of course, there's how the group of deciders will see Nick Reiner himself. A man born with huge luck but taken by drugs and trouble. In Los Angeles County, deciders come from all kinds of lives, many who might not understand that much money or chance. Will they see him as hurt by mind sickness and drugs, or as someone who threw away every help given? That question stays as the trial gets close, one that could decide not just Nick's end, but how people see the ends of love, blame, and fixing in the bright lights of Hollywood. Conan O'Brien's yearly Christmas party had always been one of the most looked forward to events in Hollywood. A night where stars could relax, laugh, and hang out without cameras watching. Rob Reiner and his wife, Michele Reiner, always went to the event. But this year, things were not the same. They brought their younger son, Nick, a choice that looking back had sad meaning. People close to the family later said Rob and Michele were very worried about Nick. His actions in the months before that night had gotten more not steady. Staying out late at night, quick mood changes, and phone calls that left his parents no sleep and worried. They didn't want to leave him alone, scared of what could happen if they did. Taking him to the party seemed the safest. And maybe, just maybe, a fun night with known faces could make him feel better. Nick wasn't on the guest list at first, but Rob sent Conan a fast message telling about it. Conan, known for being nice, said yes right all. When the Reiners got there, everything seemed normal at first. Rob said hi to old friends warmly. Conan welcomed them big, and Michele looked great in a dark, nice dress that got attention, but Nick's way stood out. While others talked happy, Nick stayed back, wearing an old gray hoodie with the hood up tight on his face. His eyes moved around the room, worried and not calm, like looking for something others couldn't see. Guests soon saw his odd energy. According to many who were there, Nick started going up to people suddenly, asking strange and too personal questions like, "What's your whole name? Are you famous?" His voice was flat, his face blank, but his look was strong and upsetting. Most guests tried to ignore it, answering nice before leaving. Others looked worried at each other, saying quietly that the young man seemed not right. Actress Jane Fonda later said she felt a strange cold when Nick stood too close, staring without blinking. The worst moment came when Nick broke into a private talk between Billy Crystal and another guest. He asked the same robot questions, not caring about Crystal's tries to make it better. When Crystal nicely asked him for space, Nick just stood there, quiet, still, eyes fixed before turning fast and walking away mad. The tight feeling in the room went up right away. Talks got quiet, looks went to the door where Nick went, and the once fun party suddenly felt heavy. What started as a happy night of laughs now had a hidden weight, a feeling that something was wrong. As the night went on, the feeling at Conan's house never got back to happy. Guests tried to forget the worry, but talk about Nick went around the room like noise. Michele tried to fix things, smiling and talking nice, though she kept looking to the hall, clearly worried. Rob, always the dad who protects, followed Nick quietly, trying not to make a big thing. Nick, meanwhile, seemed in a fog. He moved between rooms, the living room, the back outside, the bar, talking to himself and drinking from a glass he never finished. People later said he seemed far away, mixed up, even like haunted. At one point, Rob supposedly went to him near the kitchen, gently putting a hand on his shoulder. "Hey buddy, you okay?" someone close heard. Nick didn't answer. He just looked straight tight before walking away quietly again. By 10 p.m., the party was going strong, but for the Reiners, the tight feeling had hit top. Michele supposedly told a close friend she wanted to go soon because Nick wasn't good. A few guests, including Larry David and Billy Crystal, saw Rob and Michele talking quietly in a corner trying to decide to leave. Then a fight started. Not loud enough to stop the music, but clear enough that people close looked awkward. One person close later said Nick blamed his parents for talking bad about him, his voice sharp and mad. Rob tried to calm him, saying, "Let's just go home," but Nick pushed by him, knocking over a small table of drinks. Guards came in and Conan, trying to calm, went over with worry. "It's okay, let's get some air," he supposedly said. The group finally went to the door with Michele holding Rob's arm, her face white with shame and fear. Outside, the December air was cool and quiet compared to inside. Rob helped Nick to their car, trying to talk sense, while Michele stayed back a bit, clearly upset. People said Nick's hands shook as he fought, walking near the driveway. He yelled something not clear before finally getting in the car, closing the door hard. The Reiners left quietly after, ending their night early. For many, it was just a bad moment, the kind people hoped would pass. But for Rob and Michele, that drive home would be the start of their last hours. According to later police work, neighbors in Brentwood heard quiet voices and some fighting around midnight. Some thought it was just late family talk. Nothing strange for a weekend, but by morning the Reiner home would be a crime place that shocked Hollywood. Police put together what probably happened after the family got home. The drive was tense. Nick, still mad, supposedly blamed his parents for making him look bad in front of friends. Rob tried to calm, telling him to relax and sleep, but once inside, the fight got worse again. Expert people think that at some point between midnight and morning, Nick went into the bedroom where his parents were sleeping. Whether from anger, mix-up, or breakdown, no one knows sure. What came next was called by police an extreme bad violence, leaving a scene too bad to tell fully in public. What made the case more upsetting was how normal the evening started. Friends said Rob and Michele had been hopeful about Nick's getting better. They thought his new help talks and medicine were working. Rob had even talked about a new fun project for them, something to give Nick goal again. They had no idea what was coming. By the next afternoon, when their bodies were found, the movie world was shock. News went on social media fast, first as talk, then as true. Kind words came from stars and fans all over. Many couldn't understand how such a loved Hollywood family could break overnight. In the days after, attention went to Nick. His mind health, his drugs, and the signs people might have not seen. Old talks came up again, showing bits of his fights with who he was and pressure. Some remembered how he once said in a talk, "I feel like I was born into a light I never wanted." That words now hurt with bad meaning. Police kept getting proof, including camera videos, expert samples, and people words from Conan's party. The timeline got clearer. Nick's strange actions earlier that night, the fight, the fast leaving, and his hotel get hours later, everything matched with scary exact. But even as proof grew, questions stayed about why, about blame, about love limits. How could someone raised with so much help, around care and chance, get to such a bad point? Mind experts talked to by News called it a big mix of not fixed hurt, drugs, and feeling changes. Meanwhile, the fun world dealt with its own bad feeling. Many close said they had seen Nick's not steady over years at events, on work, and friends, but thought it was Hollywood strange. Now it couldn't be ignored. As the trial day got close, people who worked with Rob gave heart words. Actors who acted with him said the loss was too much. Friends of Michele, always known for warm and nice, were broken. She always thought he'd get better. One long friend said quietly, "That's what makes it so hard." Even Conan O'Brien, who hardly talks private, gave a short word of sad and not believe, saying his heart was with the Reiner family and all hurt by the sadness. Now, almost a month later, the case still big in news. Every new court paper, every new proof starts talk again over mind, health, luck, and fair. It's a story that feels like movie, yet too real for those who lived it. For the Reiners' friends and fans, the memory of that bright December night is dark forever. What was a happy party became the start to one of the saddest stories Hollywood has seen. A reminder that even with fame and money, bad can get in. Rob Reiner could feel the tight building. He took Nick to a quiet spot near the hall, his voice strong but feeling. The fight got hot and loud fast, so loud that guests close stopped talking, worried. Rob was telling his son off, trying to make him see how his strange actions made people not comfy. "You need to get it together," he said strong, his voice going through the hall. Michele stayed close, torn between her husband and son, looking soft and worried back and forth. She tried to calm both, asking Rob to stay cool and Nick to breathe. But Nick wasn't hearing. His answers got sharper, his voice harder, his anger in his eyes. In minutes, the fight became a show, one that put a dark feeling over the night's fun. Finally, Rob and Michele made the hard choice to go. They said fast goodbyes, smiles forced, faces white with worry. As they walked to the door, Michelle's eyes stayed on Nick, the boy she loved, protected, and forgave many times. One guest later remembered the sad way she looked back at him, as if quietly saying, "We love you anyway, but we have to leave." Nick stayed back, standing near the room back, his face no feeling. The air around him felt heavy, almost full of power. Some guests talked worried quietly, not sure what to think of his actions. Others just stayed away, hoping to avoid the strange tight he brought. No one could know that in hours that same tight would turn into something no one could fix. That night, the Reiners drove home quietly, not knowing it would be their last together. The house they filled with laughs, forgive, and years of try to save their son from his bad would soon be the place of awful sadness. What next? The quiet, the find, the catch would shake Hollywood deep. Once a sign of fun, skill, and family close, the Reiner home became a sad reminder of how fast love can turn to loss and how far someone can go when hurt takes over reason. The case of Rob and Michele Reiner is one of the saddest stories in new Hollywood time. Not just because of the bad of what happened, but because it broke a family that tried years to stay one. Every new thing about the work, every court step feels like opening a hurt that not healed. And past the big news, deeper questions stay. In those last moments, did Rob and Michele know their love wasn't enough to save their son anymore? Could they think that years of give, wait, and hope would lead here? These questions hurt not just the Reiner family, but everyone who followed this sad story. We may never really know what made that night's events, but we can remember the lost by thinking of the good, the love, and the human that came before the bad. Thank you for staying with us through this very feeling case. What do you think about the sad story of the Reiner family? Do you believe there were warning signs that could have changed the end? Let us know your thoughts below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment to stay updated on more real-life Hollywood stories and future developments in this case.